Okay, Mr. Chair, you all are live.
All right, good evening, everyone. Meeting will now come to order. I want to welcome you to the October 22nd meeting of the City of Greenville Board of Adjustment. My name is Michael Glenn, and I'm the chair of the board. I would like to start by acknowledging that we're conducting this meeting using a remote electronic platform. I would ask for your patience today as we proceed. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body that is governed by the North Carolina General Statutes and the city's Code of Ordinance. We conduct evidentiary hearings on requests for special use permits, variances, appeals of administrative decisions, and interpretations. Before we begin the evidentiary hearings on tonight's agenda, I would like to provide some important information about the steps taken to ensure that each party's due process rights are protected as we proceed in this remote platform. First, tonight's meeting will be conducted in accordance with the newly enacted statutes in Session Law 2020-3, which allow for remote meetings and quasi-judicial hearings during declarations of emergency. Second, each applicant on tonight's agenda was notified before being placed on the agenda that this meeting would be conducted using a remote electronic platform. Every applicant on tonight's agenda has consented to the board conducting the evidentiary hearing on their request using this remote platform. We will also confirm tonight at the start of each evidentiary hearing that the participants in the evidentiary hearing consent to the matter proceeding in this remote platform. No case is proceeding tonight in which the city has been contacted by an individual who objects to this meeting being heard by way of simultaneous remote meeting platform. Third, notice of this meeting was provided to the applicants and the public in numerous ways. Specifically, notice of tonight's evidentiary hearings was provided by mail to all property owners within 250 feet of each subject property. The mailed notices were sent 2 weeks in advance of the meeting date and within the law to provide such notice. And each notice letter notified the recipient of the remote meeting platform. Notice was also provided by posting signs on the site of each property, publishing notice in the newspaper, and providing notice on the city's website. Each of these notice methods were also done within the legal requirements to provide such notice. The notices for tonight's meeting contain information about the means by which the public can access the remote meeting as the meeting occurs. Fourth, any individual wishing to participate in tonight's evidentiary hearings was required to sign up prior to the meeting to participate. Information about the sign-up requirement, along with information about how to sign up to participate, was included in the mailed notice letters sent to each property owner within 250 feet of each subject property. This information was also included on the board's website, and among other information, a link to the board's website was included in all methods of notice. All individuals participating in tonight's evidentiary hearings were also required to submit a copy of any presentation, document, exhibit, or other material that they wish to submit at the evidentiary hearing prior to tonight's meeting. All materials that the city received from the participants in tonight's cases, as well as a copy of city staff's presentations and documents, were posted online on the Board of Adjustment meeting schedule and agenda prior to this meeting. All materials that will be discussed today can be viewed at any time during our meeting by visiting the Board of Adjustment page on the city's website and clicking the October 22nd, 2020 agenda and meeting packet link. No new documents will be presented at tonight's meeting, and all decisions of this board are subject to appeal with the Pitt County Superior Court. Finally, all individuals who signed up to participate in an evidentiary hearing on tonight's agenda were mailed a witness oath form prior to tonight's meeting. Any individual planning to testify or submit evidence in an evidentiary hearing was notified that they must sign the oath form prior to tonight's meeting. We will reaffirm everyone's oath on the record at the meeting, during our meeting. All right, Mr. Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Michael Glenn.
Here.
Rodney Bullock.
Here.
Ann Bellis.
Here.
Hunt McKinnon.
Here.
Christopher Lilly.
Here.
Sharon Evans.
Here.
Stephen Atkinson. Nathan Cohen.
Here.
Dylan Godley. John Ladrine.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Yes.
I would like to let you know that Mr. Atkinson had a death in his family, and that's why he is not here.
Thank you, Ms. Blunt. We don't need a motion to approve an absence, do we, in this case? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Mr. Phillips, if you would please tell us who our voting members are.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The voting members for agenda item number 1 tonight is as follows. The voting members are as follows, I should say. Mr. Glenn, Mr. Bullock, Ms. Bellis, Mr. McKinnon, Mr. Lilly, Ms. Evans, Mr. Cohen. Mr. Landrine is not a voting member, but is allowed to participate in the discussions and is allowed to ask questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Okay, we have the second item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the September 24th, 2020 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. McKinnon
I second.
and a second from Mr. Bullock. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. If you would please take roll.
Yes, sir. Michael Glenn,
Yes.
Rodney Bullock,
Here.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Hunt McKinnon,
Yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Nathan Cohen,
Yes.
Dylan Godley. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Sir, that your motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, I believe we have one speaker on behalf of the city. Ms. Blunt, is that correct? Or are you going to be our only speaker? Okay, just we'll take you. All right, let's get you sworn in. I'm going to say your name, and if you would please acknowledge that you're present, I will administer your oath. Elizabeth Blunt.
Present.
All right, Elizabeth is planning staff and will be presenting. Elizabeth, Ms. Blunt, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you will provide in the evidentiary hearing of tonight's meeting will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Phillips, I believe you're going to read our rules of procedure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As stated on pages 2 to 3 of the meeting handout available to the public, the evidence to be considered by the Board of Adjustment is as follows. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body that makes a decision concerning an application, petition, or appeal based on the evidence presented by those in favor as well as those in opposition. The members of the Board of Adjustment are laypersons, and as such, the rules of evidence that are followed by a court are relaxed for cases heard before this body. Though the rules of evidence are relaxed, it does not mean that they are ignored. Only evidence that is material, competent, and substantial will be considered and may be used by the board in its decision-making process. The board may not consider, nor is it admissible to present or offer affidavits, letters, or other writings in support of or in opposition to a matter before the board unless the person who prepared the writing is testifying. These writings are considered hearsay. Statements by a person such as, in my opinion, the application will create a traffic hazard is not an admissible opinion and may not be considered by the board. However, such an opinion may be admissible if it is made by an expert or by a person who is qualified to give opinions concerning traffic hazards, is making a presentation to the board concerning his or her investigation and the basis for his or her conclusion in the report. A layperson can give an opinion, but he or she must present facts to show how the proposal affects his or her piece of property specifically and not just in a general way. A statement that another person who is not present and not testifying either supports or doesn't support the petitioner or application is called hearsay and is not admissible. The same rule applies to both the applicant and those in opposition. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 168-388 and Section 4 of the Board of Adjustment's Rules of Procedure, no member of the Board of Adjustment shall participate in either the discussion or vote on any special use permit, variance, or appeal from an administrative officer's decision in any manner that would violate the affected person's constitutional right to a fair and impartial decision maker. Prohibited conflicts include but are not limited to a member having a fixed opinion prior to hearing the matter and not willing to consider changing his or her mind, an undisclosed ex parte communication with the person before the board, any witnesses, staff, or other board members, decisions on either a request for recusal by a member or objections by a person appearing before the board shall be decided by a simple majority vote of the board. No board member shall take part in the hearing, consideration, or determination of any matter in which the board member is involved or has a financial or personal interest. Personal interest shall be defined as having a family member involved in the project under consideration, a neighborhood association involvement where a board member is on the governing body of such association, or where the board member is involved in a conflict or dispute with the applicant on a matter unrelated to the application. If a board member has such a conflict, he shall declare the conflict and request to be excused from voting on the issue. A majority vote of the remaining members present shall be required to excuse the member. No board member shall vote on any matter deciding an application or appeal unless he shall have attended a public hearing on that application or appeal. No board member shall discuss any case with any parties in interest prior to the public hearing on that case, provided, however, that members may receive and or seek information pertaining to the case from any other members of the board. If a board member has had an ex parte communication regarding any of the matters for consideration tonight, that needs to be disclosed at this time.
All right, Mr. Phillips, thank you. All right, we will move on to new business on our agenda. Let's see, item number 1 under new business. All right. Item number 1 is a public hearing on a request for a special use permit by Bruce and Kyle Ellsworth. The applicants Bruce and Kyle Ellsworth desire a special use permit to operate personal services not otherwise listed tattoo shop pursuant to Appendix A, Use 15A of the Greenville City Code. The proposed use is located at 3193 East 10th Street, Suite A. The property is further identified as being tax parcel number 16439. I will now open the public hearing, and we have got some speakers to swear in. Let's see here. All right, do we have Kyle Ellsworth and Bruce Ellsworth in the room with us? All right. All right.
Yeah,
hey,
we're right here.
guys. All right. We're going to get you sworn in. When I call your name, please state your name and address for the record. And also please confirm that you consent to proceed in this remote format. All right. So Kyle Ellsworth.
Yep.
All right. Hey there. If you would please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you will provide in the evidentiary hearing of tonight's meeting will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bruce Ellsworth. All right.
I'm here.
Hey there. All right. We'll do the same thing with you. You got your right hand up. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you will provide in the evidentiary hearing of tonight's meeting will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. And gentlemen, if you would also please confirm your address for the record, each of you.
Yep. 1718 Spencer Avenue, New Bern, North Carolina, 28560.
And you consent to proceed in the remote format this evening?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yep.
All right. Thank you. And you, sir?
I'm at 1718 Spencer Avenue, New Bern, North Carolina, 28560, and I do consent.
Awesome. All right. Okay. We'll throw it back to Ms. Blunt. If you would please give us the city staff preliminary report.
This is a request for a personal service otherwise not listed, in other words, a tattoo shop. I thought I need to advance my slide. Okay. The property is located near the northeastern portion of the city. The proposed use is located at 3193 East 10th Street, Suite A. The property is 2.18 acres in size and contains 3 separate multi-unit commercial buildings. The property has approximately 280 feet of frontage along East 10th Street and 350 feet of frontage along River Bluff Road or Harbor Road that is beginning to change. The applicant wishes to occupy a unit which is 750 square feet in size. The property is zoned CH heavy commercial. The surrounding zoning districts are R6 residential to the north, CG general commercial and CH heavy commercial to the south, CH to the east, and CG general commercial to the west. The surrounding developments include the Police East Zone Substation, PIC Cuts Barbershop, Sherry's Beauty Shop, Christina Tax Service, the Place to Be Beauty Shop, and the East 10th Street Bargains and Discounts to the north, Domino's Pizzas, Moe's Barbershop, Jet Nails, Lamb's Garden Restaurant, Subway and Food Line to the south, Little Caesars Pizza and GK Restaurant to the east, and 42 Fry Restaurant and Jackson Hewitt to the west. The property is located within the mixed-use high-intensity character type as designated by the Horizons Plan. The proposed use is in compliance with the future land use, which recommends commercial development within the property. This is the view of the front of the property. This is a closer view of the property. Notice was mailed to adjoining property owners on October 8th, 2020. Notice of the public hearing was published in the Daily Reflector on October 12th and October 19th of 2020. Staff has the following recommended conditions. Applicant must obtain and maintain a permit from the Department of Public Health as required by the North Carolina General Statutes, Section 138-283, Tattoo and Regulation, and comply with any other health department requirements, including but not limited to sanitation, first aid, vaccinations, health certifications, disposal of needles, and other biohazard waste material. Applicant must comply with, including but not limited to, the previous stated general statute and 15A NCAC 18A.3200 rules governing tattoo from environmental health, and any other federal, state, and local laws that apply. They must not violate North Carolina General Statute Section 14-400, tattooing and body piercing, prohibiting regulations for those under 18 years of age, and no loitering is permitted outside of the business. Other comments include the project must meet all North Carolina state fire and building codes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blunt. Any questions from the board for Ms. Blunt? All right, if there are none, we will ask the applicant to speak. I believe, gentlemen, both of you are applicants, so I'll let you all decide who would like to tell us about your application. And if you would, please, before you speak, just state your name again for the record.
Okay. My name's Kyle Ellsworth. I've been tattooing for around 3 years now in tattoo shops, professional tattoo shops. Before that, I did a year apprenticeship under professional tattoo artists. And I've been drawing my whole life. So I'm going to the next step from tattooing under somebody to tattooing on my own. And we picked this building because mostly because of the location. It's right off the main road. Everybody can see it driving by. They'll see a big sign that says tattoo. They'll be able to come in. It'll just be me there tattooing at first. So they should be able to get comfortable with me, view my portfolio, and decide if I'm the right artist for them. I also like the location because it's close to the ECU campus, which means, you know, there's a good bit of foot traffic coming by. And also they have the police substation behind it, which means that hopefully all loitering and things of that sort shouldn't be present at this at this location, which I feel makes it more of a professional location, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Also, the leasing agent recommended this because we told her we were just looking for a place for a tattoo shop, and she recommended this property as the place that she would recommend for a tattoo shop. She said there's been other places in there. I think there was a tattoo, or not a tattoo, sorry, a tobacco shop was in there in that complex, which is all owned by the same owner. I think they had some other special permitted businesses that were in there before, so she felt confident that we would be able to get this passed through the board here. And I just like the location. I think it's a great place to do some tattoos and some body art and keep it professional. That's the big deal. I have here's this one here is my CPR certification. I have my CPR certification. I also have my bloodborne pathogen certification. And I've been permitted through tattoo shops previously, I think around 4 times right now. So, in North Carolina, all the rules are the same. So if you've been permitted, this one's here in Jacksonville. If I was permitted there, it's going to be the same rules in Greenville to get permitted here. So I know my way around it pretty well by now, and I think we're ready to move on this one as long as it's good with everybody here in the city. Also, the city of Greenville. Why we chose the city of Greenville? The population. Hold on, I have it here. The population count is approximately 95,000 in Greenville, and the Yellow Page website lists 10 tattoo shops. In comparison, where I've tattooed before, Jacksonville, North Carolina, the population count is approximately 75,000, and the Yellow Pages lists 30 tattoo shops. So I was able to make a name for myself down there with the population count being a lot harder, a lot tougher, more competitive market, and I feel it'll be a nice change for it to not be as competitive, and I feel like I'll be able to bring a lot of good things to tattooing here in Greenville. Do you have anything to say too?
I think Kyle covered it pretty much. The location was perfect. It's a high traffic area. I think he covered that for us. And one thing I do want to add is like he's already been talking with the health department, and we've been working closely with them. And we understand that during, especially with the coronavirus going around, we're going to take temperatures daily. It's only going to be one person in the shop. We'll meet all the guidelines for the CDC and for the city and the state. So just wanted to add that, especially with Corona.
Yes. Also, I've been tattooing in Moorhead. There's the permit there. I tattooed in Moorhead when the coronavirus was going on. So I know my way around tattooing with the coronavirus. We're going to have barriers put up from the front of the shop to the back of the shop, and it usually has to be like either a wall or like a shower curtain or something like that. You always have to wear a mask. It's always they can't just walk in. They have to call ahead, and they have to wear a mask. They have to wash their hands before they even sit in the chair. Usually first thing, as soon as they walk through the door, I have them walk back and wash their hands. They come and sit down in the chair. Everything's sanitized, ready to go. Afterwards, I spray everything down with the sanitation spray, the Matty side. So I know my way around that pretty well, is pretty good as well. And I've been talking to the health inspector there in Greenville for environmental health. I believe his name was Kent Keeter. And he wants to come beforehand, and he wants to inspect the shop before he even inspects my station. And he wants to help us build everything to code. So, yep.
Great.
That's where I'm at on that. So.
Great.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thank you guys. Sounds like you've done your homework. So let's see. We've any questions from the board for our applicants? All right. Mighty quiet. All right. So I don't believe we have any other speakers registered on this case. Ms. Blunt, if you would please give us the staff recommendation.
Staff has no objection to the request with the recommended conditions.
All right. We'll now close the public hearing and ask if there's any board discussion. All right. I'm going to read through the criteria for expediency. The criteria will be read by reference. You may call for a vote on any criteria as read. After reading each criteria, each board member will be called to give their individual vote. If a vote is requested on specific criteria, please say vote and state the specific criteria. I will then call for discussion and we will poll each member for his or her stance on the called out criteria. Your silence on each criteria is recognized as a vote in favor of the application. Special use permit criteria are as follows: conditions and specifications, comprehensive plan, health and safety, detriment to public welfare, existing use detrimental, injury to properties or improvements, nuisance or hazard. All right, hearing no opposition. Now call for a motion for approval of the finding of facts.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. McKinnon
Second.
and a second, Ms. Bellis. Thank you. All right, Mr. Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Michael Glenn,
Yes.
Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Hunt McKinnon,
Yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Nathan Cohen.
Yes.
So your motion has passed unanimously.
All right, we'll now seek a motion for approval of the petition with the recommended conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. McKinnon
Second.
and a second by Mr. Bullock. Mr. Clerk, if you would please call roll.
Yes, sir. Michael Glenn,
Yes.
Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Hunt McKinnon,
Yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Nathan Cohen.
Yes.
Sir, your motion is passed unanimously.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Congratulations. Your petition has been approved, and we thank you for all your due diligence beforehand and wish you the best with your location.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, everybody, we will move on to item number 2 under new business. Item number 2 is a public hearing on a request for a special use permit by Gentry Russo for Excel Contractors. The applicant, Gentry Russo, desires to place a mobile home on a lot pursuant to Appendix A, Use 2G of the Greenville City Code. The proposed use is located at 1650 Sandstone Court. The property is further identified as being tax parcel number 46784. I'll now open the public hearing. And I believe we have one registered speaker, which is Gentry Russo. Are you with us, Gentry?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you. All right, if you would please state your name and address for the record and confirm that you consent to proceed in this remote platform.
My name is Gentry Russo. I am at 1000 Brookside Drive, Raleigh, North Carolina, and I do consent.
All right, and we'll now administer your oath. If you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you will provide in the evidentiary hearing of tonight's meeting will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Blunt. If you would please give us the staff preliminary report.
Okay, this request is to place a mobile home on a private lot. The property is located in the northern portion of the city in the extraterritorial jurisdiction. The proposed use is located at 1650 Sandstone Court. The subject property is 0.46 acres in size and is currently vacant. The property has approximately 97 feet of frontage along Sandstone Court and is located within the 1% annual chance of flooding floodplain. The property is zoned RA20 residential agricultural. Surrounding zoning districts are RA20 to the north, south, east, and west. The surrounding developments include residential mobile homes to the north, the south, and the west, and a vacant lot to the east. The property is located within the traditional neighborhood low to medium character type as designated by the Horizons Plan. The proposed use is in compliance with the future land use plan, which recommends single family detached residential for the subject property. This is the view of the property from Sandstone Court. This is the special use plot plan, which shows the location of the mobile home on the parcel. Notice was mailed to adjoining property owners on October 8th. Notice of the public hearing was published in the Daily Reflector on October 12th and October 19th. Included in your package is the definition of mobile home, its specific criteria, and the plot plan as previously shown. Staff has only 2 recommended conditions. The subject property is located within the 100-year floodplain. Development of this property will require a floodplain development permit and shall comply with the provisions of the flood damage prevention ordinance. Minimum finished floor elevation is 2.0 feet above the 100-year flood elevation. A pre-construction elevation certificate is required with the building permit application. A final elevation certificate is required before the issuance of an occupancy permit. The proposed project must meet all related state of North Carolina fire and building codes prior to occupancy. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Blunt. Any questions for Ms. Blunt?
I have a question. I don't know if it's a question or a comment. I went out and looked at the site, and I can't imagine, I have no objection to the application. I want to make that clear. But the road is unbelievable that that should exist in Pitt County. I've been to third world countries and that's the only other place I've ever seen roads as bad as that. It's not just a bump in the road, there are craters in that road. This is in the ETJ, and I know that the city doesn't claim the ETJ, that's the county's problem. The county will say it's in the ETJ of the city, it's the city's problem, and consequently nothing ever happens. The road is probably not wide enough to meet standards, state standards to be paved. But I feel that the people in our city, ETJ, have the right to have a road that they can get to their homes without falling on an absolute monstrous hole. And perhaps our Mr. Phillips can help us with who the applicant should apply to or speak to do something about this. Mr. Phillips, do you have any advice?
That will be something that I'll need to take in under advisement, and I can reach out to the applicant about that.
Okay, and you'll come back to us next month?
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
If I may say, Mr. Chair, Sandstone Court is a private street. And so whenever we're dealing with private streets, it is normally the homeowners association or the folks that live on that road's responsibility to maintain that road. So as Attorney Phillips looks into that, just keep that in mind. Sandstone Court is a private street.
I will confirm that and report back. Thank you,
Okay,
Ms. Bellis.
Thank you, Ms. Bellis. That's good observation. I'm sure it's important to the homeowners. Okay, so any other questions for staff before we hear from our applicant? All right, Mr. Russo, if you would please. All right, hang on. I'm looking for my notes here. All right. If you would please once again confirm, Mr. Russo, if you would please again confirm your name and address for the record. And have I already sworn you in? I'm sorry. Ms. Blunt, thank you. She's nodding. Okay, we're good. All right. So if you would state your name again and tell us about your application. That's what I was looking for.
Yes, my name is Gentry Russo and I work for Excel Contractors. We are a general contractor for the Rebuild NC program. And this applicant, Mr. Godley, is one of my applicants for the program or the contract that I have, replacing 70 mobile home units in the state. And we are looking to proceed with getting his home replaced. As you've seen in the pictures, we have already demoed the property, added the dirt pad, and have already done the flood certificate elevation levels. The marking is on the power pole in front of the property. So we will be adhering to all of those regulations as far as the flood elevation.
Thank you for acknowledging that. All right. Thank you. Do we have any questions for our applicant? All right, hearing none. We do not have any other speakers registered for this case. I will ask Ms. Blunt again for the staff recommendation.
Staff has no objection to the request with the conditions.
All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Russo. We will now close the public hearing, and if there's any board discussion, this is the opportunity. We will move on to the special use permit criteria. Again, I will read the criteria for expediency by reference. You may call for a vote on any criteria as read. The criteria are conditions and specifications, comprehensive plan, health and safety, detriment to public welfare, existing use detrimental, injury to properties or improvements, nuisance or hazard. All right, hearing no objection, do we have a motion for approval of the finding of facts?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Bullock
Second.
and a second by Mr. Lilly.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Clerk, if you would please call roll.
Yes, sir. Michael Glenn,
Yes.
Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Hunt McKinnon. Hunt McKinnon, please.
Yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Nathan Cohen.
Yes.
Sir, your motion's unanimous.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. We now seek a motion for approval of the petition with the recommended conditions.
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. McKinnon
Second.
and a second by Mr. Bullock. Mr. Clerk, if you would please take the roll.
Yes, sir. Michael Glenn,
Yes.
Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Hunt McKinnon,
Yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Nathan Cohen.
Yes.
Sir, your motion's been approved unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Russo, thank you for your patience and congratulations. Your application is approved and wish you the best with the project.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we are moving on, Mr. Bullock. We have a third item under new business, and I'm going to ask our Vice Chair, Mr. Bullock, to please oversee this item. I, as a board member, have a ownership interest in this property and would ask for a recusal if anyone would be willing to make that motion.
Move.
All right, so am I hearing my own motion, Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, essentially, that's correct.
Okay,
You're
so we have a
making your own motion to recuse yourself. That is
Does it
correct.
need a second?
It does need a second.
Yeah, so we have a motion by Mr. McKinnon,
I second.
Okay.
and I think Ms. Evans grabbed the second. All right, and Mr. Clerk, if you would please take the roll on that.
Yes, sir. Question for Attorney Phillips, please. Will Mr. Glenn be voting for his own recusal?
No,
So he will not vote for this?
correct.
Will
Correct.
Mr. Landrine take that spot?
Once Mr. Glenn is recused by the board, then Mr. Landrine will will move up. And so I was going to announce that and you beat me to
Okay.
it. So yes, that'll be correct.
Okay, so he will vote for the recusal.
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Glenn will not vote on the recusal. The remaining members existing right now, and then once that happens, then Mr. Landrine will move up.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Hunt McKinnon,
Yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Nathan Cohen.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you are officially recused.
Thank you.
And just for all the members of the board at this time, the vice chair, Mr. Bullock, will step into place as chair, and the voting members, as no great shocker here, the voting members will be Mr. Bullock, Ms. Bellis, Mr. McKinnon, Mr. Lilly, Ms. Evans, Mr. Cohen, and Mr. Landrine.
All right, folks, we will proceed to item number 3. Under new business, it's a public hearing on a request for a special use permit by Andrew Davis III. The applicant, Andrew Davis III, desires a special use permit to operate a child daycare facility pursuant to Appendix A, Use 8A of the Greenville City Code. The proposed use is located at 1716 West 5th Street. The property is further identified as being tax parcel number 17562. Now we'll open the public hearing. Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, are you with us?
Mr. Davis, if you'll unmute yourself.
Okay, that's what I was doing wrong.
There we go.
Mr. Davis, good evening to you. If you would you give me your name, state your address, and please share with us that you consent to this online format?
Yes, my name is Andrew Davis III, and my address is 1111 Greenmead Court, Greenville, North Carolina, 27858, and I do consent.
Very well. Mrs. Friesen, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yep. Yep.
Very good. Mrs. If you would you give us your name and address and let us know that you consent to proceed with this online format?
Okay. Leanne Friesen, address 3115 Trent Road in New Bern. And I do consent to the remote meeting.
Very good. Mr. Davis, we're going to start with you, and I'm going to swear you both in, but Mr. Davis, we're going to start with you first. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you will provide in the evidentiary hearing of tonight's meeting will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very good. Very good. Ms. Friesen, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you will provide in the evidentiary hearing of tonight's meeting will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very good. Now we're going to move along to Mrs. Blunt and have the staff's report.
Okay, this is a request for child care facility. The property is located near the northern portion of the city. The proposed use is located at 1716 West 5th Street. The subject property is approximately 0.42 acres in size and contains a 2,500 square foot commercial building. The property has approximately 142 feet of frontage along West 5th Street. The applicant wishes to operate a child care facility / drop-in service within the building. The property is zoned CDF, Downtown Commercial Fringe. Surrounding zoning districts are R6 Residential and CDF to the north, MS Medical Support, MI Medical Institutional, and MCH Medical Heavy Commercial to the south, CDF to the east, and MCH Medical Heavy Commercial and R6 Residential to the west. The surrounding developments include Moywood Subdivision and a vacant lot to the north, ECU Medical Pavilion and Taylor Warehousing to the south, Joseph Moran Gynecology Office and a vacant lot to the east, and vacant lots to the west. The property is located within the office institutional character type as designated by the Horizons Plan. The proposed use is in compliance with the future land use plan, which recommends office and institutional / civic development within the subject property. This is a front view of the property. This is the side view of the property. And this is the special use permit map that has been submitted with the application, showing the parking spaces that will be affiliated with the property. Notice was mailed to the adjoining property owners on October 8th. Notice of the public hearing was published in the Daily Reflector on October 12th and October 19th. Included in your package is the definition of a child daycare. The North Carolina General Statute 110-86-2D defines drop-in / short-term child care as a child care arrangement where care is provided while parents participate in activities that are not employment related and where the parents are on the premises or otherwise easily accessible. The statute also states that the business is not required to be licensed or regulated by any state agency, but it must complete a registration application and post their notice notifying parents of the requirement that by the general statute. Since the use is not required to obtain a daycare license from the state, the applicant is not required to meet the specific criteria associated with a child daycare center when it comes to the playground equipment. Staff does have the following recommended conditions. A site plan approval is required prior to issuance of a building permit. The proposed use must comply with the North Carolina General Statutes 110-86-2D, D1, and 110-99C in all federal, state, and local laws and regulations. The proposed request may not involve into a complete child care facility by definition of the North Carolina General Statutes 110-86-2 without obtaining a special use permit for such use. All activities with the children shall remain inside the building at all times. The proposed use must obtain and maintain all applicable licensing requirements for drop-in care. Other comments include the project must meet all related North Carolina State Fire and Building codes prior to occupancy, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
All right, are there any questions for the staff by the board?
I do have one question. Is there any plan to have outdoor playground?
Is that a question for staff or for the applicant?
Whoever can answer the question.
Maybe the applicant can.
The applicant.
Okay, well, there's
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, Mr. Davis.
Sure.
Hold on, Mr. Davis. We're gonna have a portion for you to be able to rebut.
Okay,
that.
I'm sorry. All right.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Are there any more questions for staff? All right. At this time, Mr. Davis, we're going to open up so that you and Ms. Friesen might be able to speak. But before either of you speak, I want you to state your name and address again, and then go ahead and share with us about your application. And Mr. Davis, we'll start with you first.
Okay. The name is Andrew Davis, and the address is 1111 Greenmead Court, Greenwood, North Carolina. And at this point in time, do I ask questions, or am I just telling a little bit about what we're doing over there?
You can share with us about your application, and in doing so, you may go ahead and address that question as well.
Okay, great. Well, the reason why I came up with the idea for the drop-in childcare, because I feel like there's a need for it, especially, in this, pandemic of time we live in, where a lot of children are, having to learn remotely at home, and the parents are having to work. And so there's really they're really trying to find that balance between, you know, how do I make sure my child gets an education at the same time, me do what I need to do. And furthermore, there's other drop-in childcare that's on the immediate area. I think the only one is on the other side of town. So there's a huge need in that community for what we're doing. And also, you know, it's and I think it's going to be also a great opportunity to create jobs for the local community, for the immediate area there. And again, I mean, I just, you know, I came up with the idea because I just noticed there's a huge need for, you know, parents dropping their kids off to the doctor, you know, and they may have 2 or 3 kids, and only one of the kids has a doctor's appointment. So now she has an alternative to say, okay, well, hey, there's one kid has an appointment. Now I have somebody to drop them off, somewhere to drop them off to, you know, until this one child gets finished, you know, with this with a doctor's appointment or what have you. And one question I did have, you know, about the external use of the building. I mean, am I just not allowed to have any outside recreation, or how does that work? My plans were to, you know, eventually start doing outside activity, but what I need to know at this time is that just not allowed, or how does that work?
Would you like for me to answer that, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Blunt, if you would.
Okay, based on what we talked about and what you're asking for,
Right.
that is under a child care facility. A drop-in child care does not allow kids to go outside.
Okay.
So if you want to do that, then we would need to modify what you're asking for.
Okay, great. I understand.
I do believe Mr. McKinnon had a question for you, sir.
Sure.
Or are you satisfied with the staff's explanation?
I think it was just answered. There won't be any outdoor playground.
Very good. Very good. All right, now we're going to move along.
I have a question, Mr. Bullock. So, Ms. Blunt, does that mean we need to put that in as a stipulation to make sure that does not occur? Even though I know that is a stipulation for a drop-in child care service, but do we also need to put that stipulation in there just in case?
I do believe it's already a stipulation. I do believe that it was already a stipulation. It was already stated in the staff's preliminary report that what was and was not allowed, particularly to outside equipment.
Well, the condition was that they had to remain in the building at all times. That's the condition. That's the recommended condition. Let me say that.
Very good. Now we're going to move along. Ms. Friesen, if you desire to have anything to say, I'd ask you to state your name and address again, and then just kind of share with us your thoughts.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. It took me a couple clicks. So again, Leanne Friesen, 3115 Trent Road, New Bern, North Carolina. And I helped work with Andrew to prepare the special use application. Is why I'm here. I'm a certified AICP planner and have experience working with the boards. Worked for the city of New Bern for several years. And so was asked to help with the preparation and particularly looking at the items that the board considers for the special use permit and trying to make sure we had made all the points and hit all the necessary points that we needed to be able to work with the findings of fact and make sure that we had met all the qualifications. So I feel like with the application and the use and Mr. Davis was very thorough in explaining kind of his goals. And I feel like just based on the findings of fact, as well as the information that we just presented in the application, that we do meet all of the stipulations that I'm looking at my notes there that we had listed in the application. And, we'll certainly be willing to take any questions about that or anything that you may have further to any clarifications or questions you might have.
Very good. Does anyone from the board have any questions for this applicant? If not, I don't believe there are any other speakers listed this evening. So at this time, we're going to ask staff for any recommendations.
Staff has no objection to the request, but I want to make sure that we do understand that under North Carolina General Statute 11086D 2D, as far as drop-in care, that this child care arrangement is where care is provided while parents participate in activities that are not employment related. And the parents must be easily accessible.
Okay. Now, when you say easily accessible, I mean, that's just general. I mean, I'm able to get them on the phone, or do they actually have to be there with the child?
This, according to the general statute, the drop-in service is not for a child care while the parent's at work. It is while they may be doing some type of activity, but not necessarily affiliated with employment. And that's directly from the general statute.
Okay, I understand. I didn't know that, but I understand now.
So is that still what you're asking for? Is that still within your request?
Yes, it's still within our request. Yeah.
Then staff has no objection to the request with the recommended conditions.
All right, now at this time, we're going to close the public hearing and we're going to open up for any board discussion, should there be any. If not, we are going to move to the reading of the criteria for expediency. Criteria will be read by reference. You may call for a vote on any criteria as read. Your silence on each criteria is recognized as a vote in favor of the application. Special use permit criteria is as follows: conditions and specifications, comprehensive plan, health and safety, detriment to public welfare, existing use detrimental, injury to properties or improvements, nuisance or hazards. At this time, we'll call for a motion for approval of the findings of fact.
So
Motion by Mr. McKinnon, second by Mr. Lilly.
Yes, sir.
Very good. All right. It has been properly moved by Mr. McKinnon and second by Mr. Lilly. And Mr. Clerk, would you please do the roll call for the findings of fact?
Yes, sir. Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Hunt McKinnon,
yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Nathan Cohen,
Yes.
John Landrine.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Now at this time, we'll have a motion for the approval of the petition with staff's recommended conditions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bellis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McKinnon. So it has been properly moved and seconded. And so, Mr. Clerk, would you please do the roll call for the approval of the petition?
Yes, sir. Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Hunt McKinnon,
Yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Nathan Cohen,
Yes.
John Landrine.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have a unanimous vote for the motion.
Very good. Very good. Mr. Davis and Ms. Friesen, your motion passes. It is approved. I'm sorry, your application is approved. And so we look forward to you providing that service to the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Very good. Now, folks, I guess since I'm temporarily holding down the ship, we're gonna entertain a motion for the adjournment of the meeting.
Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vice Chairman and members of the board, before we do that, I did want to point out at the beginning of the meeting, there was a question about the absences and the point regarding that. And so I did want to bring to the attention the rules of procedure regarding absences. And in section 4.4-2, it does say absences due to sickness, death, or other emergencies of like nature shall be recognized as excused absences by the chairman and shall not affect the member's status. So it doesn't require a vote by the actual board, but I didn't want to, it's nice to be right. It's better to cite. And so I did want to point that out to you.
Very good. Very good. Well, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So moved
Second.
and seconded. So guys, we're adjourned. It was awesome.
Everybody stay safe.
Yeah, yeah.
See you next month.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Rodney.
Bye.
All right.
All right.